Hello, everyone. Mike Roberts here, coming to you live from my classroom after a long day of teaching. I'm going to be giving you a little session here. I've done a few other sessions, and this is kind of a combination of a lot of the good things from each of those sessions. So this one is called 14 Reasons Why Teaching is So Hard and some ways to make it easier. Because that's what we're really all about, is how do we make it through those tough moments, and how do we get through those struggles that happen every single day to all of us, no matter how long we've been teaching or been a teacher, depending on how you want to say it. I am now in my 22nd year, and I'm still finding myself every single day struggling with some of these main ideas here. So I'm hoping to share some strategies with you that when things get a little bit rough, you'll have a couple ideas in your back pocket that you can pull on out. So I'm sharing my screen with you here. There is all my contact information. Include the best way is probably through email, thebaldenglishteacher@gmail.com. You can also reach out on Twitter or my website. And all these slides that I'm going over will be available right there. If you want to copy and paste that link, you should be able to get all these slides. And if for whatever reason you can't, then just reach out to me and I'll make sure to get you the slideshow that I have. So first reason teaching is so hard is because it requires commitment. I mean, you can't come in here and just kind of go through the motions. Your students deserve better than that. Plus, if you're teaching in junior high like I do, your students will call you out when you're trying to just kind of phone it in. So how do you commit to being a better teacher? Number one, at the beginning of each day, just think of something that you can be better at today than you were yesterday. I call this the 1% rule. Find something where you're like, I'm going to be 1% better today than I was yesterday. And just write that down as a little reminder for you. Number two, go observe another teacher in action and see what you can learn from them. You become better by being more aware of what else is out there. I think too often we get locked up in our own little classrooms and we forget other good stuff is happening out there. Go out there on a prep period, or if you have an instructional coach, maybe they'll cover your class for you so you can observe some other teachers and what they're doing in your class, in your school. And number three, identify one long-term goal that you have for teaching and label how you are going to get there. I know right now we're kind of day to day, but be thinking about, okay, what kind of teacher do I want to be? What kind of engagement do I want to have my students having long-term? And try to build on that. Second reason teaching is hard is because it's always a bit stressful. Yes, it's always been stressful. 2020, we're kicking it up a notch by throwing in a pandemic, by throwing in some distance learning, by throwing in online stuff, by throwing in wearing masks and all that kind of good stuff. Look, there are ways, it's stressful. It always has been and always will be. If someone told you teaching's an easy job, they lied to you. You've been suckered into a Ponzi scheme or whatever. But there are ways you can reduce your stress. So a planner. I used to not be a planner at all, but now I'm a big fan of having that planner, writing down things so you don't get overwhelmed. Number two, your lesson plan. Look, have those lessons dialed in. And I know, again, it's hard because right now a lot of us are juggling online and live classes and things like that. But the more comfortable and confident you can have in yourself in going into that lesson, I think the less your stress will be because you know what you're doing and you feel good about it. And number three, try to get out of your building for about 15 minutes a day. And I mentioned this, I think, coming up later as well. If this means at lunch, going for a little walk, then go outside. If this just means on your free period, just going out on a bench and just reading. If this means stopping by a PE class, but get outside, get a little sun on you. It really does help reduce stress and kind of kick you in the butt a little bit for the rest of the day. Next reason teaching is so hard is because the right tools are so essential for success. I think a lot of us have been in a classroom when you don't have the material you need. It really makes teaching even the most basic things really difficult. So you can add some tools to your tool belt here by offering up some praise to students, okay? Kids are doing awesome stuff all the time. In class, just try to trigger yourself every 5 minutes. Hey, I'm going to offer up a little piece of praise. And please, I write down here, don't pick on those same 3 kids all the time. Pick on some of those kids who you normally wouldn't offer praise to. I'll give you an example. One of my students was walking down the hall. I called them over today. This happened today, like half hour ago. I said, hey, I'm going to be sending home an email to your parents. And he's like, oh, what'd I do? I said, you didn't do anything, man. I'm just going to tell them about all the awesome stuff you're doing. He's like, wait, you're going to send a positive email home? I said, yeah. He's like, all right, I like that. I mean, he was like totally taken back by the praise that I was giving him. I think our students oftentimes don't get to see that. So the more you can offer it, the better. Number two, again, focus in on the students. Create a unit based on their interest. And I know this is super scary, but find what they like and then build your teaching around that. I think too often we find here's the lesson, here's the skill we're looking for, and then we try to make it cool by throwing in pieces that they might like. Switch it. You already got the buy-in if they like it, then you can throw in all that rigor and all that good stuff that we like. And number three, recognize 3 students a day for non-academic reasons. And these don't even have to be your own students. This is stuff you see in the hall. This is stuff you see at lunch where they're doing good stuff. Recognize them. That adds some tools to your tool belt where it adds some positivity, and it builds that relationship between you and your student, whether they're your student now or your student later. All right, teaching is hard because you have to push your boundaries. Again, man, we are having our boundaries pushed to the limits this year. Shout out to all of you who are doing that. But you can push your boundaries in other ways once things kind of calm down a little bit by adding a new text to a unit that you teach. This can be a book, a song, a video clip. It doesn't have to be like an entirely new unit, but just try to throw in a little new nugget based again around student interest and kind of gauge, okay, how are they responding here? What are they really digging? And if you get that positive reaction, see where else you can include those little nuggets in. Number two, try to find some alternatives, which is really tough right now with COVID and rows. But see if you can work on some flexible seating. See if you can get some standing desks. See if you can do activities that you get a little more movement in your class. And again, right now, kind of tough. I understand that. And the third one, self-assessments. And I do a whole video on self-assessments and how powerful I think they are and how useful I think they are. And it engages students in a new way where you show them that you are trusting them. So you can push your boundaries by adding some new stuff to your curriculum, trying to find some new ways to maneuver around the room, and by offering up self-assessments for your students. Teaching is hard because there's so many opportunities. There's always something new coming your way, whether it's a new system for your computer that they, new management system, a new approach to teaching. Schools always have their new initiatives. Look, you can do little stuff. You can join Twitter and follow some of your favorite educators. And you don't even have to engage in it, but teachers get on there and they throw out ideas and they throw out links and resources. It really is super cool. Don't get caught in all the negative stuff. Only follow the teachers who are offering up positivity. Number two, and I mentioned this just a few minutes ago, go observe another teacher. Okay? Once you've finished seeing them, talk to them about it and say, hey, I really enjoyed this. I really learned this from you. And again, the more you talk about it and the more you are engaged with it, the more you learn from it. And if you're sitting at home on a Saturday night, rewatch your favorite teaching movie and implement some of the strategies they use. If you need some help with this, Stand and Deliver is a great one. Lean on Me is a great one. A newer one that just came out, Step, came out probably 2 years ago, might be a little harder to find. That's a great one. You can always do old Robin Williams. Everybody loves Dead Poets Society. I mean, there's so many great ones out there. Rewatch those, get motivated, and enhance your learning by taking, and I get it, a lot of this is sensationalized because they have their one class and all that. I get it, but there's also good teaching in there. Jack Black in School of Rock, when he's teaching, putting together a little band with his students, you see him modeling, you see him checking for prior knowledge, you see him offering positive feedback, you see him engaging with the students. So even the silly teacher movies, there are good things you can be pulling out of them. Oh, teaching is hard because, hey, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Let's be real. Everybody likes, well, I shouldn't say that, but hanging out with kids, that sounds like a pretty good deal until you really start breaking it down. So I would encourage you to embrace the challenge of teaching, okay, by thinking about how you have sacrificed. Think of an example of when you gave extra time to a student and how did that improve that student's school year or the skills they have, okay? You got to embrace that stuff. Too often we let it bring us down and exhaust us. And again, I had an example earlier this week. where I really been working with the student, and man, he finally kind of clicked and he started turning some stuff in, and the quality of his work was just so much better than it had been. And a lot of that credit goes to the student, but you got to be honest and say, hey, some of that is me. I'm putting in the time. It's paying off with that kid. And don't be afraid to write a little thank you note to someone within your school community who gives of themselves in order to enhance the experience of others. This can include anybody on the staff. This can include, admin, lunch ladies, the janitorial staff, anybody. I mean, there are a lot of good things happening in your school, and I encourage you to embrace all that good stuff and shout out some of those people who are taking that challenge and really working to make your school a better place. Oh, teaching is hard because you have to learn a variety of useless skills. You do. I know we're all impressed with how you can hold your bladder for like 6 hours without going to the bathroom. That's a great skill to have. It's also a great skill to be able to, I've recognized kids swearing in the hallway as they walk by my room. I don't even have to see them. I can hear that swear word and I just yell out and they're like, sorry, Mr. Rob. Okay. Those are useless skills. There's no award for holding your bladder. Maybe there is for holding your bladder the longest. So use some of these skills that you have for good. So respect that students need to go to the bathroom. They all don't have our superpower, okay? Especially the younger kids. But, a lot of teachers I hear say, well, they get to go 3 times throughout the semester or whatever. Look, that's not what I'm willing to gamble on. I'm not willing to say, well, I really don't think you have to go this time. Respect it and let them go until they start to abuse it. Try using your keen sense of hearing when you catch all those swear words and inappropriate comments. Listen for the good stuff students say. Listen to the good that's out there rather than focusing in on all the negative words that they use. And, hey, it's hard with a mask on for those of us who teach with mask on. But, man, we can quiet a room by giving them our stink eye or just with that raising that eyebrow like, what? Hey, use those facial expressions for good. You can smile. You can laugh with your students. Students are very, very funny. So use some of these skills that you have. You just got to tweak them a little bit. So instead of using them for kind of the maybe not so greatest reasons, you use them for the good reasons. Teaching is hard because it requires inspiration. It does. I mean, every single day, I think a lot of us get up and it's a lot like working out. It sounds great in theory, but then that morning when that alarm goes off, we're like, oh, I don't know, man. Same thing happens with teaching. So you need to search out inspiration sometimes, little things that will boost you up. YouTube is a great one for this. There's all kinds of inspirational videos out there, but there are a couple that I'm a really big fan of related to teaching, and those are Sir Ken Robinson's TED Talk about Do Schools Kill Creativity and Rita Pearson's Every Kid Deserves a Champion. Those are 2 quick ones. If you're looking for a little inspiration, check those out. You can also text or email or call or just talk to someone within your little learning community that you admire and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this kid. What would you suggest? And they can oftentimes offer you little tips and tricks and kind of inspire you to keep working with that kid who's been driving you crazy and keep working on how do you push it to become a better teacher. And I'm a big fan at the end of each day, just kind of reflect before you leave and send home an email to someone, whether it's a colleague or a student or a parent, where you say, hey, here's one thing that I saw you do today that inspired me. For me, a lot of times I do this with my students. A kid who rarely participates. I send home that email to a parent. Or a kid who's been struggling and they do well, I send home that email. But you can also do it with colleagues as well. I saw some really cool stuff my science department was doing yesterday, and I sent them home. I sent them an email just saying, hey, you guys are doing some great stuff here. I'm very, very fortunate to be working with such a cool crew. So little things like that go a long, long way. They take a few minutes, but it's not only good for them, it's good for you. When you write that last email and then walk out of the building, you're ending on a high note. I highly recommend it. Teaching is hard because it's expensive, yo. Woo, more than ever. So things you want to look into. So check in with your admin about you have a department budget. I think teachers we're forking out even more money now than normal. And I think sometimes, there might be some money out there that you can use that we're just not aware of. Number two, crowdsourcing. So donors choose and clear the list and all that kind of stuff on Amazon. Use your parent-teacher association, see if they can offset some money. And last thing, check with the other teachers in your school to see what resources they have. You might be missing a stapler, but the teacher down the hall might have like 13. Okay, so just, throw out a simple email. Hey, I'm looking for this. There are teachers within your school who might have some of those resources that you need, and that'll save you a few bucks here and there as well. Teaching is hard because life balance is hard to keep. We teach all day, then we go home, then we check our email, then we're grading papers, and we're planning our unit, and this is where burnout happens. Okay, I'm not saying you can completely avoid this, but I am saying there are ways I think you can minimize this. So find some balance in your life by setting a bedtime for yourself that allows you to get close to 8 hours. And just try it for a week and see how it impacts you both in the classroom and out of the classroom. Meaning, are you more awake? Are you more engaged? Are you more excited in the classroom because you've gotten more sleep? But are you falling behind on the grading because you're getting more sleep? So look at that and really see would an extra hour or maybe a little more than an hour help you out in the long term. Number two, speaking of taking homework, 2 nights per week where you don't grade at home. You can even do homework-free days with your students. Your students will love this. Plus, it gives you that chance to balance out your life a little more. And number three, I'm a huge believer in exercise. I would highly encourage you all to find a little balance by every day after school, just going on a short little walk. Okay, and use it to switch your brain from I'm in teacher mode to I'm in home mode. And again, if you have family, if you have kids, you can go out walking with them and just getting outside and again, transitioning from school to home, I think is a nice little thing you can do. Just like in class, you don't go instantly from one activity to the next. You have that little transition period. That's what you need to do with your thinking from school and home as well. Oh my goodness, it is so easy to compare yourself to others. That teacher down the hall who has that like super rad bulletin board and it seems like they change it every 3 days and you can't even keep up on your grading and they have like pyrotechnic displays going on and all that kind of stuff. And then you'll get on social media and everyone will show you on Pinterest that, oh, look at what I did here. My room now looks like Harry Potter and Daniel Radcliffe stopped by to tell us what a great job we did. Oh, look, stop. We tell our students to do this. Don't compare yourself to others. Are you being the best version of yourself that you can be? And that's what you need to worry about. And you do that by creating lessons that play into your strengths. So if you're really into certain things, play into that. Use that. If your personality traits, that's the second one here. Use those to help you. If you're not loud and vocal, don't pretend to be loud and vocal. Play into your strengths. If you're not very artistic, then don't try being all artsy fartsy. Play into your strengths because I'm telling you, your students want the authentic version of you more than they want the inauthentic version of someone else. And they'll see right through it. So play into your strengths. Tell stories from your life. Tell stories about when you were growing up. Let your students know a little bit about you as a person. And I think that will help you be a little more grounded in who you are rather than trying to worry about what everyone else is doing. Teaching is hard because you need to be ready for anything. Hey, again, 2020. We got pandemics here in Utah. I don't know where y'all watching from. We have earthquakes, which we never had. I had a windstorm come through the neighborhood a few weeks ago, ripped down my fence. Man, you got to be ready for anything. Same thing happens with teaching. You might be wiped out. You might get sick. You might have to, quarantine. There's all kinds of stuff. So please plan ahead by making sure you have some sub plans. And this can't be the standalone, little one sub plan. You've got to kind of have units ready to rock and roll. All right. Hopefully you don't ever have to, be knocked out with being sick. But if you are, hopefully the sub can come in, and because you've planned, when you come back, things are about where you want them to. Speaking of stand-alone lessons, Have something that you can implement at any time. Those last 5 minutes of class where we often say, just sit quietly or turn and talk to a neighbor. That's where chaos often erupts. And we end up getting mad at our students because they're not, being these perfect little children. Look, that's on us. We gave them those opportunities. And because we didn't structure something, I did the math on it once and I can't remember exactly what it came out to. But if you give up 5 minutes per class at 5 minutes, at 5 classes a day, so 25 minutes per day, 25 minutes a day times that by 40 weeks ends up equaling almost 80 hours of teaching time that you gave up. So have a few little standalone quick lessons that you can just pull out like, oh, we got 10 minutes left. I'm going to do this. So plan ahead, please. And prep your students for what to do if you are absent. My school uses Canvas. So, we go through Canvas. We've done it 4 times this quarter where, hey, just as a reminder, on Canvas, you go here. And remember, to find your homework, you go here. So if I ever am absent, I can just say, hey, check Canvas, your homework will be there. And those little things will help your class run a little more smoothly if you're not around. Teaching is hard because some days you just have to persevere. I tell you what, and those days are coming soon. It's already been a struggle, but the struggle bus is real come about, December 14th, 15th, 16th, when you're getting close to winter break and you're like, what is happening here? I swear time is going backwards. Okay. It's hard and you have to learn how to persevere. So this is where you got to kind of fake it till you make it. All right. I would encourage you to write down either a weekly or a monthly, just a little post-it note and write why I love teaching and just keep it right there. And so when you're ready to, throw in the towel, you look and you say, oh yeah, I love teaching because I'm making an impact. And I love teaching because blah, blah, blah. And I love teaching because boom. And it can be one little thing. It can be a whole big list, whatever you want. I'm a fan of the one a week, and then you just change it out so it doesn't get stale for you. Number 2, locate as many notes from former students as you can. And then when things get rough, just pull out those notes. I'm at a new school this year from my previous school, and I haven't brought those in yet. And, a couple weeks ago, things were a little rough for me. And I was like, oh, I remember so-and-so wrote me this note. And I was like, oh, it's at home. I just keep it normally in my desk, one of my desk drawers, and just pull it out and you just ran it. And the cool part is when you pull these out, you'll read the nice comment and it will remind you of that kid and it will remind you of that situation. And it really is a great way to just kind of lift you up a little bit. And then have a teacher jams playlist. I have it on Spotify, just some of my favorite songs. You just hit play and they just make you happy. Don't play any mopey college songs that bummed you out back in the day. No, these are all these cheesy little pop songs that we all love, that we all deny that we like. Woo! Teaching is hard because people don't understand why you do it. I know. You tell people that you're a teacher and they're like, ooh. I know. It's like this great mystery. What's the old saying? My favorite is you tell people you teach elementary school and people go, ah. And you tell people you teach college and people go, ah. And you tell people you teach junior high and people go, ah. And that's it. They don't get it. Okay? So you got to figure out what your why is. And how you do this, you talk to your colleagues about, why do you like, and everybody, it doesn't have to be junior high, high school teachers, everybody says I could never teach that next level for whatever reason. I can't imagine teaching elementary school. And I used to think I wanted to teach high school, but now I'm like, nah, high school is not my thing. So talk to your colleagues about what is your why, and what are some funny things that have happened in your classroom, and then just have a conversation about it. Also, think about the teachers you had growing up. Why were they your favorite teacher? And rethink about all the cool stuff they did, and try to implement some of those things into your class. And if they're still around, hey, try to reach out to them and just give them a shout out. As a teacher, think how cool it would be to get an email from a former student who is now a teacher. And if you've never gotten one of these, I'm guessing you will at some point. I've received a couple. You got to be a kind of teaching for a long time for it to happen. But it's super cool when you get those emails. And number 3, just think about your proudest moment as a teacher. and all the good stuff you've done. That's why you do it. You do it for that kid who struggles in every other class, but they love coming to your class. You do it for that kid who doesn't quite get it and doesn't quite get it and doesn't quite get it until they do. And you do it for that kid who says thank you and they work harder in your class than they do in other classes. That's the why you do it. So just take those moments to really think about the why, because there's lots of reasons. Other people can tell you why not. You need to think about the why in it. All right, we are at the finish line, my friends. That was a lot. I was going super fast. I am happy to expand on any of this information. There is my contact information right there. So you can get all the slides right there. But if you're like, explain this to me a little more, or, hey man, I need a cool playlist. Send me some of your teacher jams. Let me know. I'm happy to share whatever resources I have. I try to teachers, we need to bond together here. And if you have a cool lesson, let everybody do it. Don't just think this is my little thing. And anything that I have, I'm happy to share with you all. So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike Roberts. I am the Bold English teacher. I absolutely love teaching. I hope you have found some things in this video useful for you. Keep fighting the good fight, my friends. You're doing a great job out there. Your students appreciate it. And I wish you the best of luck as we make it through this crazy year. Thank you all very much. Bye-bye.